All right, my friends, Jared Dukes with you. Appreciate you joining me. We have to talk about the current state going on in New York City with this so-called hush money trial pertaining to our favorite former president, President Donald Trump. Unfortunately, friends, it's not looking good for President Donald Trump. This jury that they have so far picked, at least as of yesterday's news, is not good news. Now, one or two of these individuals seemingly have been released for cause from jury service by the judge, this Judge Merchant. However, I have to tell you, and we're going to take a look at it together, it does not look good for former President Donald Trump. Obviously, you know, New York City is a huge Democrat stronghold. I believe 92% of the individuals in New York City identify as Democrats. So if you are the president, Donald Trump, you're a Republican, obviously, and you're having to set for a trial that they rushed. Remember, they say Donald Trump is not above the law. Well, he sure is not below the law either. And for Donald Trump, they made a special case for him because instead of waiting in line like everybody else does to go to trial, they moved his trial up to immediately. Why? Because they want to label him as a felon and parade him around as such. And listen, folks, understand this. He faces jail time when he's convicted in this particular case. This is not anything really new that's been going on in American society. Unfortunately, we see it front and center on full display. This is really, really shameful. Let's go ahead and get into the first video I have for us today. I want to take a quick peek at this because it is so important that we all understand what's going on and we talk about it. So here we go.
7 New Yorkers now sworn in to sit on this jury, 4 men and 3 women. They will decide whether Trump falsified records to cover up a sex scandal involving porn star Stormy Daniels. This is what we know about those jurors. The foreperson is a man, Martha, originally from Ireland, who gets his news, he says, from the New York Times, Fox News, and MSNBC, a woman who works as an oncology nurse, and an Asian man who practices corporate law. Both say they read the New York Times. Also, a young software engineer is on the jury who says she works for Disney. A middle-aged man born in Puerto Rico says he reads the Times and listens to podcasts. He'll be there too. And a young black woman who was raised in Harlem by a law enforcement family says she gets her news from Google, TikTok, and talk radio. And finally, an attorney who says he reads the papers every day, including the Times and the New York Post. So that's who's going to be listening to the case so far. Now, the first former president to stand trial on criminal charges made a stop in Harlem to talk about crime in the Big Apple, stopping by this bodega where a store clerk stabbed a man to death after he was violently attacked by a customer. The DA first charged that clerk with murder in New York, but then dropped it. Trump says he's going to hit more stops like this.
We're making a big play for New York. Other cities too, but this city, I love this city. And it's gone so bad in the last 3 years, 4 years, and we're going to straighten New York out. So running for president, we're putting a big hit on New York. We think we can win New York.
And Trump and Martha.
It's amazing to see this type of affection and love that the general public has for him, even in New York City, as President Donald Trump was outside that bodega where the owner was assaulted and charged for murder by this Alvin Bragg. This guy is quite a character. He will not prosecute violent criminals, but he will prosecute individuals trying to defend their own grocery store. And he is obviously engaging in election interference on a bogus case all the way back from 2016. If you've been watching my channel, you would clearly understand what I'm talking about because this entire case is nonsense. But today we're going to talk about the jury members. Now, 1 or 2 of these jury members have already been excused. I believe the nurse has been excused and one other person has been excused because they found out that this particular individual had problems in his past with taking down conservative posters or conservative candidate signs, something to that effect. But we're going to talk about these juries. We're going to allow Chat GPT to come into the conversation, and we're just going to take a look and see how it looks so far. So here's the juries right here. We're going to go through them one at a time, and I'm going to bounce back and forth. So you can see this first juror is right here is a male. Juror number 1 is a male. This is also going to be the foreperson on this particular jury. They're from West Harlem. They originally from England or Ireland, rather. Now, here's the key. They get their news from the New York Times, the Daily Mail, Fox News, MSNBC. First of all, I have some serious questions in my mind when someone says, oh, I watch Fox News and MSNBC. don't get me wrong, I watch all kinds of news programs because I generally make videos like this, and I have to kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. But let's switch over and let's just see generally what this would mean. Now, someone that watches or listens to the New York Times or reads the New York Times, is the New York Times considered a conservative or liberal news media? This is courtesy of ChatGPT. The New York Times is generally considered a liberal news media outlet. It often aligns with progressive and left-leaning perspectives on various social, political, and cultural issues. That's been my experience too, by the way. However, like many major news organizations, it strives for journalistic integrity and balance. Yeah, I don't think so, but that's what ChatGPT says. It's generally a very liberal newspaper. If you didn't know that, I am glad we could clear that up. Now, on the other hand, the Daily Mail is considered basically a conservative agency or conservative newspaper or online magazine. And of course, we all know Fox News, that is considered the same. So let's switch back and let's take a look at jury number 2, female. Now, this was the one that asked to be released because her identity became public. However, I want to briefly mention she also listens to the New York Times, Google, and Facebook for her news. I am telling you that anybody that is mainly getting their news from Google and or Facebook, that is probably going to be an individual that leans to the left. Just been my experience, and I stand by that. Now, juror number 3. Let's see, young to middle age Asian from, from Chelsea, attended, or actually, this is the practicing attorney. I went ahead and I asked ChatGPT, hey, go ahead and tell me, what about attorneys? Let's see here. I went ahead and said, okay, we talked about the Daily Mail. I went ahead and asked him, I said, statistically speaking, are attorneys considered conservative or liberal? Now, obviously, there's going to be a range of attorneys. Some are going to be more conservative, some are going to be liberal. But generally speaking, statistically speaking, attorneys' political affiliations can vary widely based on factors, practice, geographic location, personal beliefs. However, some studies suggest that attorneys as a group, as a whole, tend to lean more towards the liberal or democratic ideologies. And of course, we pretty well knew that. I had my suspicions. I've known and I know a lot of attorneys, and I would say that's pretty well within my experience. Or moving on, jury number 4. You got kind of the same thing going on here, folks, with this right here. Let me pull up a more clear picture right here so we can all talk about the same thing here. All right, on jury number 4, you have a older middle-aged man from the Lower East Side, born in Puerto Rico, works as a consultant for about 10 years, self-employed. And again, we're back to the New York Times. What do they got here? They got Google and listens to podcasts. Again, these are generally, not always, but generally going to be individuals that are going to lean to the left. It's just the way it is, and I'm fine by that. But at the same time, we don't need to live under any illusion that somehow this is going to be some type of conservative jury, because it is not. I went ahead and asked ChatGPT, if someone gets their news from Google, are they considered more conservative type of person or more liberal? And basically, you have to remember, ChatGPT is probably going to say that it's in the middle. It breaks down a lot of different analysis, if you will, but for the most part, I can assure you it's generally more liberal. Now, we're going to switch back over to our screen right here. All right, here we go. We're going to move on to the next juror that is listed on this right here, and let's see exactly what we can find out about this person. We are on juror number 5. A younger Black woman, Harlem native, teaches in school for 8 years, gets the news from Google, TikTok, talk radio, specifically The Breakfast Club. We know where this is going, and we're going to chat about it here in just a second. Juror number 6, young woman from Chelsea, New York, software engineer. And finally, juror number 7 is a white man who lives in the Upper East Side, another attorney, gets the news from the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, and the WAPO, which, of course, is the Washington Post. So let's switch back over, and let's see what ChatGPT says as far as these type of people, what likely they're leaning conservative or liberal is. Okay, what is the Breakfast Club on talk radio, and what type of political leaning does this organization have? The Breakfast Club is not a traditional talk radio program, according to Chat GPT. It is a syndicated morning program, and it goes on, and it talks about the individuals that appear on the program. It says the Breakfast Club does not adhere to a specific ideology, but rather provides a platform for diverse voices and perspective. And it keeps going on here, but it says they have varying political beliefs, but for the most part, they are considered to have a left-leaning type of stance. Not 100%, but that's the way it goes. And then I asked, statistically speaking, what is the political leaning of software engineers? All right. Again, it goes into that it can, vary widely. It says, however, several surveys and studies have provided some insight into the general political tendencies within the tech industry, which includes software engineers. Overall, the tech industry, including software engineers, tends to have a higher proportion of individuals who identify as liberal or democratic leaning. All right, there you go. So, folks, that is just not the kind of jury that you want to have if you are on trial as a Republican. And we can say it's a trial, or we can simply say it for what it is. It's a political persecution. And so far, I'll have to look and see the new members, what the final jury and jury pool looks like as far as the alternate jurors are concerned. But this, make no mistake about it, this is not good news for former President Donald Trump. We have suspected that this particular case would be difficult for the president. It is obvious, it is clear, and everybody can see it for what it is. It's a political hit job. It makes the United States appear to be nothing more than a third world country. It's obvious that Joe Biden's afraid, the Democrats, the woke individuals are afraid to take on President Trump mano a mano. They are scared to death that they're going to lose, and their only hope is to brand him as a felon, put him through this charade where he has to sit there day in and day out. I'm telling you, this Judge Merchant is just itching to throw President Trump in jail. Wait and see. I'm telling you, there is a very good possibility that that's going to happen. President Trump in no way can just sit there in trial, in court, and take this abuse day after day where he cannot say nothing. His First Amendment speech has been taken from him without any type of conviction or any type of finished court proceeding. Yet Alvin Bragg and these other individuals like Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels can go out and say whatever they want to say without restriction, hesitation, or anything. It's an outrage, an absolute outrage. All we can do, my friends, is encourage one another to get to the polls in November and vote for President Donald Trump. And frankly, pray, my friends. I seriously mean that. We all need to pray for President Trump and pray for our nation, pray for our people, and ask for help to get us through this extremely troubling time that we are all in as of right now. It is what it is. Stay tuned. If you're still with me, might as well hit the thumbs up button. Like, share, subscribe, send this to any and all of your indoctrinated family members and friends, and let them hear what I have to say in the hopes that they can learn to think for themselves and have that free mind we talk about all the time. Always appreciate you joining me. Always say keep that mind free. Never give up. And until next time, my friends, I am J.R. Dukes.